In February 2017, the British press was rocked by shocking news. David Bowie's lawyers had published an official notice searching for his secret children. A $100 million inheritance was at stake, and if there were any heirs beyond Bowie's two known children, they needed to come forward by May 4, 2017. Here's the problem. Nobody knew exactly how many children Bowie really had during his out-of-control period in the 1970s and 80s. This wasn't just about an inheritance. This was one of music history's biggest genetic mysteries. That official notice in the Times wasn't just a formality. Bowie's legal team at Simpkins LLP had finally revealed an anxiety they'd been carrying for years. Bowie, one of rock music's most promiscuous figures, especially during his Ziggy Stardust era, represented a potential legal time bomb. The lawyers knew that if unknown heirs surfaced, the $100 million inheritance would have to be completely redistributed. This legal process was actually just the tip of a much larger iceberg. Bowie's inner circle had been whispering for years about the potential unexpected consequences of his 1970s lifestyle. Especially during his heaviest cocaine addiction period, Bowie had massive gaps in his memory. He couldn't remember how many people he'd been with or who he might have gotten pregnant, but every forgotten moment meant a potential heir. Iman and Duncan Jones weren't surprised when this legal process began. For years they'd been receiving letters and phone calls from various women claiming I'm Bowie's daughter, lawyers demanding DNA tests, former lovers emerging from the past. The Bowie family had been quietly monitoring these claims and preparing for potential threats. When The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust was released in 1972, David Bowie became not just a music icon, but a symbol of sexual revolution. His androgynous appearance, bisexual confessions, and stage performances made him irresistible not just to fans, but to countless women. During tours, backstage areas hosted some of the wildest parties in rock music history. Notes from Tony DeFries, Bowie's tour manager at the time, show just how intense the 1972-1976 period was. In every city, dozens of fans, groupies, and local models would line up to meet Bowie. According to DeFries, David would talk to at least 10-15 women at every concert, and he'd get personally involved with some of them. When you do the math, in 1973 alone he could have been in contact with over 100 women. But the most important detail is the lax attitude toward contraception during this period. In the 1970s, oral contraceptives weren't widely available, and responsible sex wasn't exactly a priority in the rock star lifestyle. According to Bowie's own confessions, cocaine use negatively affected his judgment, and he admitted to making many risky decisions. Every risky decision meant a potential child. In the 1980s, as Bowie's popularity peaked, the first paternity claims started rolling in. A woman in Los Angeles claimed that her son, born from a one-night stand with Bowie in 1975, was his father. The woman's lawyer demanded a DNA test, but the technology wasn't widely available yet. Bowie's management quietly made a settlement and closed the matter. This would be the first, but not the last. In the 1990s, claims from women he'd met during European tours began increasing, especially during his Berlin period between 1976-1977, when he was living in the city. He'd met numerous women. Berlin was one of Europe's most liberal cities at the time, and while Bowie was trying to overcome his cocaine addiction, he was also living an intense social life. The parties after recording sessions at Hansa Studios became the heart of the city's underground scene. During this period, 3 different women claimed they'd had relationships with Bowie and bore his children. The German media began following these claims, but Bowie's powerful management team prevented the stories from reaching international press. These women, silenced with money, remained quiet for years, until Bowie died. In the early 2000s, advances in paternity testing technology changed everything. Now biological fathers could be identified with 99.99% accuracy, creating a nightmare scenario for Bowie's legal team. In 2005, the first scientifically backed claim arrived, a an English woman named Sarah McKinnon demanded DNA testing for her daughter, born after a night she spent backstage with Bowie following a 1979 Leeds concert. McKinnon had concrete evidence, a backstage pass, photos from that night, and most importantly, a note written in Bowie's own handwriting. The note was simple but powerful. "Sarah, thank you for a beautiful night. Mine's David." When the DNA test was performed, the result was shocking, a 94% genetic match. While this wasn't considered definitive paternity proof, it showed extremely high probability. Bowie's lawyers tried to legally challenge these results, but the scientific evidence was strong. Eventually, the matter was closed with an out-of-court settlement. Sarah's daughter, Stella McKinnon, received £2 million in compensation and was legally recognized as Bowie's daughter. This case opened the floodgates. Other potential children found courage and began taking legal action. In 2020, 4 years after Bowie's death, the most surprising claim came from Germany. A woman named Ingrid Hoffman claimed that Bowie was the biological father of her daughter Katharina, whom she'd met in Hamburg in 1973. Hoffman's story was different from the others because it was packed with documented evidence. Hoffman was a young model working at Hamburg's famous Kaiserkeller club at the time. Bowie had come to Hamburg for Diamond Dogs tour preparations and was performing at the club. According to Hoffman, she and Bowie had an intense relationship for 3 weeks. During this time, Bowie had written her love letters and even talked about future plans. The most important evidence was a silver ring Bowie had given Hoffman. Inside the ring was inscribed, "IH Forever Yours, DB." Additionally, Hoffman had saved over 20 photographs and Bowie's handwritten letters. These letters contained Bowie's descriptions of his Hamburg days, expressions of his feelings for Hoffman, and plans for the future. Katharina was born in 1974, and Hoffman had noticed her daughter's striking similarity to Bowie for years, especially in terms of eye color, facial structure, and musical talent. There were remarkable resemblances. Katharina had shown exceptional musical ability since childhood and was particularly gifted at piano. When Hoffman's legal team filed an official paternity claim with Hamburg court in 2020, the Bowie estate faced a serious challenge. When Katharina's DNA sample was compared with preserved Bowie genetic material, the results were shocking, a 97% genetic match. This result sent the Bowie estate into panic mode. If Katharina were legally recognized as Bowie's daughter, she could claim a significant portion of the inheritance. Under German law, biological children automatically had inheritance rights, and this could completely upset the carefully planned estate distribution. Bowie's main lawyer, James Morrison, took immediate action and began challenging the validity of the German test results. Morrison's strategy was built on questioning the possibility of sample contamination and the reliability of testing procedures. At the same time, they began examining Hoffman's claimed timeline through detailed investigation. During the investigation, exact dates of Bowie's 1973 Hamburg tour, hotel records, and witness testimonies were collected. The results were fascinating. Bowie had indeed performed at the Kaiserkeller for 3 weeks, and multiple witnesses confirmed he was with Hoffman. Local newspaper archives even contained mentions of Bowie with a mysterious blonde companion. The Hoffman case created a domino effect. Starting in 2021, dozens of potential claimants began emerging from Europe and America. Each had their unique story, but the common theme was, in the 1970s, young attractive women had brief relationships with Bowie and subsequently had children. Michelle Rodriguez from New York claimed that Bowie was the father of her son Marcus, whom she'd met at Studio 54 in 1976. Rodriguez was a fashion model and moved in NYC's most exclusive circles at the time. Marcus was born in 1977 and showed striking physical resemblance to Bowie. The similarity was undeniable, particularly in distinctive eye color and facial bone structure. Amanda Phillips from London claimed that Bowie was the father of her daughter Emma, whom she'd met at an Earl's Court concert after-party in 1978. Phillips was a prominent fashion photographer at the time and was part of Bowie's creative circle. Emma showed extraordinary artistic talents and was particularly gifted in visual arts. The most intriguing claim came from Tokyo. A Japanese woman named Yuki Tanaka claimed she'd had a brief affair during Bowie's 1973 Japan tour and that he was the father of her son Hiroshi. Hiroshi was known as a musical prodigy and was particularly innovative in creating electronic music. To handle these multiple claims, an international genetic testing consortium was established. Leading geneticists and legal experts began examining each case individually. The results revealed a shocking pattern. 60% of the claimed children shared significant genetic markers. Dr. Robert Pemberton, a leading genetic expert, summarized the findings. The genetic similarities among multiple individuals strongly suggest the possibility of a common paternal origin. Particularly, Y chromosome markers and specific DNA sequences show patterns consistent with David Bowie's genetic signature. One of the most convincing cases was Marcus Rodriguez's DNA profile. Test results showed a 98% paternal match, and the possibility of contamination was minimal. Rodriguez's distinctive physical features, particularly his unique eye color and facial structure, showed remarkable similarity to Bowie family members. Emma Phillips's case was equally compelling. Genetic markers showed a 96% match, and the Phillips family's detailed medical history perfectly aligned with genetic inheritance patterns. Emma's artistic talents and creative inclinations were consistent with the Bowie genetic lineage. In 2022, the legal battle dramatically intensified. Multiple confirmed paternity cases necessitated a total restructure of the Bowie estate. The original will-only distributed inheritance to Duncan Jones and Alexandria, but new genetic evidence established legitimate claims from additional heirs. Estate lawyers began complex negotiation processes. Individual settlement discussions were held with each confirmed heir, and amounts were based on genetic certainty percentages. For cases with 95% plus genetic matches, significant financial settlements were proposed. Katerina Hoffman, having the strongest case, demanded the maximum settlement amount. Hamburg court's preliminary ruling supported Katerina's recognition as a legitimate heir, and her estimated inheritance share was calculated in the $15 to $20 million range. Marcus Rodriguez and Emma Phillips cases were also eligible for substantial settlements. Combined genetic evidence and supporting documentation strongly corroborated their paternity claims. Legal experts estimated that total additional inheritance payouts could reach $40 to $50 million. These revelations dramatically affected existing Bowie family dynamics. Duncan Jones was initially shocked, but showed an understanding approach. In his public statement, he expressed that he'd always been aware of Dad's complex life and was open to potential siblings. Iman's reaction was more reserved. Through her legal team, she adopted a careful monitoring approach and emphasized that each claim needed to be thoroughly investigated. Iman's primary concern was protecting Alexandria's inheritance rights. Alexandria, being a teenager at the time, was protected from direct involvement, but was aware of the situation. Through friends, it was reported that she was excited about potential siblings, but concerned about the financial implications. Initial contacts began to be established among the newly discovered siblings. Katerina and Marcus began communicating through social media and discussing their shared experiences. Both shared the difficulties of growing up without a biological father figure and were experiencing adjustment challenges with their sudden celebrity status. This case highlighted both the limitations and possibilities of paternity testing technology. Advanced genetic sequencing methods could produce accurate results even from decades-old samples, but legal acceptance standardization remained problematic. International legal cooperation necessitated the development of new protocols for cross-border paternity cases. Coordination between German, American, and British legal systems was essential for resolving complex inheritance disputes. Future technology developments, particularly the expansion of genetic databases, increased the possibility of discovering additional unknown heirs. Growing databases from genealogy companies could reveal new family connections through random genetic matches. The Bowie secret children case attracted unprecedented media attention. International newspapers covered genetic testing results as front-page news, and public fascination established a new benchmark for celebrity paternity cases. Documentary filmmakers competed to capture each family's story. Netflix and Amazon Prime started bidding wars for exclusive documentary series and offered substantial amounts for story rights. On social media platforms, the Bowie children hashtag went viral, and millions of people discussed genetic inheritance patterns and celebrity family secrets. Public opinion generally supported the newly discovered children and believed their legitimate inheritance rights should be recognized. David Bowie's secret children case became one of rock music history's most complex inheritance disputes. The combination of scientific evidence, legal battles, and emotional family dynamics created an unprecedented challenge. As of 2023, the number of confirmed paternity cases had reached 6, with additional claims still under investigation. The total financial impact was expected to significantly exceed the Bowie estate's original value, and legal proceedings would probably continue for years more. This case demonstrated the hidden consequences of celebrity culture and the power of modern genetic technology. Decades-old secrets could be revealed through scientific advancement, and traditional family structures could be transformed by unexpected genetic discoveries. While David Bowie's artistic legacy continues to be eternal, his biological legacy continues to evolve. Each new DNA test could reveal a new family member, and the starman's earthly family continues to expand. Ultimately, this story demonstrated that even in death, David Bowie continued to surprise the world. The man who constantly reinvented himself had left behind one final transformation, turning strangers into family through the power of genetic truth.